Hello and welcome back to the Start to Glamping Business podcast. Today we have Amanda Jensen, who is the co-founder and operator of Sanctuary Treehouse Resort in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. I think this is the first sort of exclusive treehouse resort operator that we've interviewed, so it should be a good one today. So Amanda, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you. Could you just give us a little bit of information about yourself and the resort, glamping business, whatever you want to call it, that you operate?
Sure, Nick. Thank you so much for having me on here today. So Sanctuary Treehouse Resort is something my husband and I have come up with over the years. We started small with our idea. We wanted to just build 6 to 10 on our property. And some property became available right next to where we live, 40 acres actually. And we kept hearing that developers were looking to kind of scalp the mountain and build some large apartments or more large cabins here in our area. And we personally didn't want to look at that near our home. So we went ahead and purchased that property and then kind of had the conundrum of, well, what are we going to do with 40 acres? Because we were only going to build 6 to 10. And so it kind of grew from there, all of our ideas. My husband obviously is the creator of all the interactive features. We are the world's first interactive treehouse resort, and we're pitching to be the world's largest. So right now we have 7 open that have been open since March 31st, and our next 7 come online this fall, winter. And we're going all the way to 130, but at number 18, that makes us the world's largest. So that's kind of cool and fun to say.
Nice.
But yeah, we've just kind of been growing on ideas from there.
Okay, great. And we'll put, so if you're watching on YouTube, we'll put some pictures of the tree houses on the screen as we talk. But could you just give us a little more information on what these, obviously, you know, a tree house is a tree house, but what kind of, because they're super unique, really cool looking, quite rustic almost, in that they really blend in with the environment. So tell us a little bit more about the actual tree house structures themselves.
Yeah, they are really unique. So I like to say they're kind of nostalgia mixed with modern day amenities. And everybody loves that because what we love to share with people is that there is something for everyone here. There's several different types that we have here. We have our regular tree fort, we have our tree fort double, and then we have our luxury tree house. And so they all have interactive features on them, and that varies depending on which tree house you select. But they have things such as 20-foot slides that adults or kids can go on. They have secret ladders, escape hatches, drink chutes where you can drop a bottle or a can any size down to your lower deck. They've got swings and rope climbs and interactive furniture that's hidden, secret beds. What else? Number one feature people rave about is our heated toilet seats. And then our luxury even has a full bidet system. So we have outdoor hanging beds. We have slipper tubs. I know I'm leaving things out, but all of them have outdoor wood burning fireplaces and indoor LED fireplaces, and so there's bucket pulleys. It's just very interactive, so you can relax or you can play right there on your treehouse. So that's what makes them so unique.
Yeah, and we speak to a lot of people who, you know, come to us and they want to start a glamping business or an outdoor hospitality resort. And we do get a few people that want to start treehouse resorts, but, you know, a lot of it is domes and other kind of modular units. You know, I get a sense that tree houses are a little more tricky because you kind of have to build them on site as opposed to ship them in modular. So what led to the decision to go for tree houses, and how did that process look in terms of, you know, figuring out a contractor or a builder or you know, designer to get them on site?
So yes, you know, thanks to COVID, people started to really appreciate being outdoors and looking for not just a place to stay, but more of an experience. And so these types of accommodations have become wildly popular. We chose the treehouse because years ago we built our children a treehouse. Here we elected, instead of going on a trip for spring break, we all went together and built a treehouse for them. And they played on it for many years. And then, you know, they get older and busy, and they stopped playing on these things. So it was just sitting there rotting. And so we kind of laughed about it. We're like, we should rent that out. People are actually renting tree houses in other places. We didn't ultimately do that. We had to tear it down, but it just kind of sparked the idea from there, and it just kind of grew. So we decided that, you know, that's what we wanted to do. And all the features and amenities, you know, we keep thinking of even more things we can put on them as we grow, just to make them more fun. My husband set out to build the first 7 himself because, you know, he had it all on paper. You got your drawings and your renderings, but he couldn't really tell someone how to do it. So his plan was to just build these quietly at his leisure, and then maybe throw them on Airbnb or VRBO. But due to the uniqueness of them, I can only presume the media caught us worldwide attention before well before we even had our first one built. So from there, I started pushing. I was like, "There's, we're in Forbes and Wall Street Journal and Southern Living, all the places, and then that brought traffic to us and kind of sped things up. So I asked him, can I start renting these? Start taking reservations. And so I did a year in advance. And so by the time we opened up, we had a lot of reservations on the books for these first 7.
Yeah, we always advocate getting the marketing drive started long before you open, and that allows you to fill the books early and long before you open, and even get you that little bit of extra cash that you might need to finish the development. I'd be interested to know how that sort of touch paper was lit in the, how did these like international publications initially find out about what you were planning, and how did that sort of spread?
Good question. I handle the theming of all the tree houses. I do the marketing and the PR right now until I hire my team and fully in place that can take this off my plate. So I am not a marketing person. However, I feel like I'm close to being handed a degree at this point. So you got to figure it out. I couldn't tell you how they caught. I guess it started small. Would be how it looked like. It kind of snowballed. Local papers, local TV stations and news media and such started doing things, and then they all communicate. Medias watch medias, so then they start reaching out to you, and then the more places you are, the more people that are reaching out to you to get authentic quotes or interviews or takes on our story. So we just started sharing from there. And what was interesting to me is that I sold an idea from renderings. Luckily, we over delivered. So a lot of our guests get here and they're like, wow, it's more than we expected. And it's still under development. A lot of our amenities on the property and things, we plan to make the resort golf cart access only. So once we have our check-in building, guests will check in at the beginning of the resort and get a complimentary golf cart, and then there'll be golf cart access only. But in these first 7, we allow them to park at their treehouse while we're building out that portion of the resort. But it's pretty interesting. Yeah, definitely start marketing well in advance. It doesn't hurt. Get the word out and start brand recognition and awareness for your accommodation.
Hi everyone, Nick from Glampitect North America here, and I've just got a very quick message to announce some extremely exciting news. Since launching in July 2022, Glampitect North America has made a name for itself in the North American glamping industry. We've consulted on over 40 glamping projects, accumulated over 47,000 podcast downloads and plays, and we're now ready to take the next step. And with that, we're absolutely delighted to announce that we're beginning the process of developing our own glamping projects. We want you to be involved. There are more details to come, but for now, we're taking expressions of interest from prospective investors. We're so excited to get this going. It's been a long time coming and we can't wait to get you involved. So all you have to do is fill out the form in the description of this episode and we'll be in touch with more information very soon. We can't wait to hear from you and we'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye. Absolutely. And let's go into yours and your husband's backgrounds. You two are the sort of founders, owners, operators. We interview a lot of glamping and outdoor hospitality operators on this podcast, and some come from fields that kind of would naturally align with this industry, others come from completely out of nowhere. So I'd be interested in knowing your background and your husband's background and whether either of those have any kind of relevance to what you're doing now.
Not really. So as far as my background, I have done national marketing for a fundraising company. Prior to being mom, we have 4 children. I worked at the Federal Aviation Administration and programmed computers for the government. So that gave me a little more of a technical background there. As far as Brian, he is an electrical engineer by trade. Both of us purchased his parents' business in Gatlinburg, which is the Gatlinburg Skylift Park. We have the gift shop up there probably 20-something years ago. And so we semi-retired from that business. So we do own a tourist business there. We did venture out and build some villas that were supposed to be single-family homes that are close by, and started renting those out when the economy tanked in 2018. We purchased our partner out of that, and so it was kind of like our own little bed and breakfast there. We had about 8 units that we rented out. We partnered with Wilderness Water Park Resort, and they started renting those, and then we eventually sold them to them. So, our backgrounds definitely don't speak to the hospitality and as
Hmm.
far as staying accommodations, but we are used to tourism and servicing what the tourists are looking for here in our area. Of course, Brian, with his engineering background, definitely he's a very creative individual, and I guess I'm not so bad as a partner too when it comes to that. So whatever we don't know, we go figure out.
Yeah, and one thing that a lot of people have to figure out for the first time is the permitting process. Now, with Brian being in the sort of engineering trade, maybe that sort of prepared him a little bit. I also know some parts of Tennessee actually, quite relaxed when it comes to permitting. So, what was your overall experience when it came to the zoning and permitting element of this startup?
That's one thing we talk about a lot is our city and community have been extremely excited about us bringing something so unique to the area. It's not more of the same, so to speak. So we had, and it is a tight community. We have millions and millions of visitors that come here every year, but the locals are still a very small community. But we absolutely had no issue. As a matter of fact, we felt like a lot of things seemed so expedited with what expectations we were told we should expect, so to speak. So no, they were excited and happy that we were doing it, and it was not a difficult process. Although I know in some places it can be. It probably helped that we are very involved in our community and we know a lot of people here, so they knew that we would do a good job with it.
So you didn't have any like Facebook groups started against the development like a lot of people we speak to then?
No, thank goodness. No, I didn't even consider that an option. Not that I know of. For all
Yeah.
I know, it's the web. It could be out there, and somebody's always got something
Yeah.
negative to say about everything. But no, we really haven't seen a lot of negative feedback. And that's one thing that we bought this land to preserve it. We try to build the topography of the land. We don't remove trees. We build in them and around them. The only thing we remove is underbrush. But that's how we decide where these tree houses go. One thing that our city does not permit is for us to attach to a tree. So we did get that. People were like, "Oh, that's a building on stilts." Well, we're not allowed to attach to a tree, and you really wouldn't want to because it's not healthy for the tree, and it's really not safe for guests long term, because that tree will die or have issues, and you don't want to be attached to it. So you are amongst the trees. It does have tree features. Our lower portion, we had some gentlemen that we found on YouTube called LearnCrete. They came and showed us how to make trees out of concrete, and that is just a skill that we acquired. And you stain them, and they look just like real trees. So we have a lot of that, and we use a lot of the limbs and things that have blown down or are part of the underbrush to put those features inside and outside of the tree house. So you get that feel, but also the safety is an issue we've seen. On other tree houses that they don't think about long term. So for that tree, so
And when you were designing the layout of the site, we've spoken on this podcast before about how there's kind of two approaches you can take. You can take the really secluded, private. I don't want to see anyone else on my getaway, versus the community-driven, sort of social interaction-driven outdoor escape, where it's obviously a lot more communal. I get the sense that yours definitely sort of edges towards the latter, and that when you were designing the site you wanted more of a community kind of village feel. So is that correct, and was that a conscious decision when you were designing the site?
yes, absolutely it is. And in some respects they are set up as a community, and we like that because we have a lot of people that come in, large groups that will rent several together, and we've provided community areas for them to gather, so that they can't all be on one upper deck. We established a community outdoor kitchen where they can, and there's a flat screen and an outdoor grill and sink and ice maker, and then the big fire pit and complimentary wood. So we have a lot of that, but in the same respects, there is privacy on, a lot of them. Your decks, if you get the wooded view, you are, in the trees and not facing anyone or any other tree houses. Our luxury one has on its lower deck, it has the outdoor soaking tub and a hanging swing bed day bed, but you also have privacy curtains that go all the way around, so you can close that space off for some privacy. So you can definitely get privacy, but yes, it is communal, so to speak, where these first 7 are. But you got a little bit of both, but we like that, and we've seen that our guests like that. They come out and they play cornhole together, and they go and meet. I mean, it's people from all over, so they really enjoy that, and that's good to see.
Yeah, and I always like to dig out when I speak to operators like yourself, sort of unique tactics or strategies that you've employed that I've not seen anywhere else. And one thing that I saw when I was doing my research on your site is that you have something called a partner perk program, and I've seen kind of similar kind of concepts, but I was really impressed by the way you implemented it. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about what the partner perk program is, and just provide us a bit more details on it.
The partner perk program was kind of an inconvenient thing at the time of trying to open. But it turned out to be a wonderful thing, and for our guests and for us and for our community. When we were trying to get these first 7 open and have our grand opening, I had a lot of our local businesses, either friends that own businesses or just businesses that are close by or love what we were doing, reach out and say, how can we advertise to your guests? What can we do for your guests? We want to work with you here. And on the other side, I had people that were making reservations that trusted us to tell them, where do we go? What do we do? Where do we eat? What's close? So I could see one hand needed to be talking to the other. And I was like, how do I do this? So I was like, okay, I'll make up a program and this will be free for our guests and free for our partners. So we have a couple of criteria for those partners on the list that have to be somewhere that Brian and I have been and would suggest to our guests. They also have to provide us a unique offer that is exclusive to our guests. And then so when our guests check in, they love this. Actually, they get it with their when they book a reservation, they get that list of those offers, also how to obtain those offers. But then when they check in with their materials, they get a partner perk card. And on one side is our logo, on the other side is a QR code. They scan it, takes them to a private page on our website that shows them all the offers of the businesses that we suggest and have, what kind of offers they have out there. A lot of them are half off admission to like Smoky Mountain Water Park, the helicopter tours, the Wahoo zip line that's nearby, 25% off at restaurants or free appetizers. There's some really unique offers, and I try to keep that. So if I have a zip line on there, I'm not going to go add 3 more zip lines just because I want to grow that list. They're going to be our preferred businesses to send our guests to. That's how we put that together, and it's just kind of an ever-growing thing. And we talked about making it a fee, and then I was like, no, I think this is something that is a great complimentary thing to offer guests, and it's really, really, really been a wonderful thing.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Obviously, that really adds to the guest experience, and so that's in the long run, that's probably a money maker in that it brings people back. Is there do you get like commissions from that? Is it a nice little boost to the bottom line, or is it purely just to add to the experience?
No, it's just to add to their experience. We figure there's a lot of things that we do here that are complimentary. Mm-hmm. We feel like they've paid to stay. You don't want to have all these fees that you're really bogging them down with. And of course, they love to save money after they've paid to stay and they've traveled to get to you. So when they come and they see, we provide coffee K-cups, we snacks and water bottles and all your cleaning supplies and your cooking supplies and complimentary firewood. You've gone many places where they just charge for sticks, and so we their eyes light up when they're like, this is unlimited, and then same with the program when no one benefits. Our partners, they get the business, we get to provide that as an extra thing for our guest experience, and then they get to save money. So I just see it as a win for everybody in the circle there.
Yeah, and so you started taking bookings last November, and you opened in March. I would guess, given the media storm that you created, that things have been going well so far?
They've been going great, and it's been wonderful. We didn't anticipate the relationships that we would have with our guests. We've had some, even in just 5 months, we've had some that are coming back for their second and third visits, because I want to bring my girls and have a girls trip. I want to bring the family. I want to come back as an anniversary trip. And then what's wonderful about meeting these folks and establishing these friendships with them is that they provide us with ideas. That's not something we anticipated, because they're like, well, have you ever thought about this? Or now that we've been here, what about that? And that has been a huge perk to us as well, to get their feedback, and of course, to hear the good things they're saying about all the hard work that's been put in here by our team. So,
And any specific ideas that they've suggested that you've implemented?
yeah. So, outside of the little things like, hey, we'd like an extra shelf here in the shower, or those kind of things. They've talked about doing some large swings, like 3 and 4 person swings outside on our trees. I'm like, that's wonderful. Maybe a miniature tree house in between that can post up in the trees. Kind of hard to explain that because we're not looking at the resort. We have interactive beds. And they said, what about, because we have 2 of our tree houses right now, we're trying out the pet friendly. I'm still on the fence whether I think that's great or not. I know everybody likes to travel. A lot of people like to travel with their fur babies, but a lot of people also don't like to stay somewhere where pets have been. They have allergies, and no matter how clean you get it, it's just really hard to get it up to par there. We have a crank up bed, our double bunks. The bottom bunk cranks up to reveal a tabletop with 2 bar stools for extra seating and dining. And when we thought this was so cute, they were like, what about in front of your LED fireplace having a crank down pet bed? And I was like, that'd be kind of cool. Another little fun thing. So that's just kind of one of the many things, the layouts. Of course, many of them suggest pools and things like that. I mean, reserve hot tubs, but here I don't want to do what everybody else has been doing. We don't. We'll have some in-ground hot springs. And then, of course, I'm like, if you want to go swimming, here's half off at Soki Park. It's less than a mile away. But ours is very nature oriented. We've got 4.5 miles of walking trails here on the property. There's going to be an enchanted forest. Of course, they'll have their, and that's going to be where you can host groups or weddings. We're going to build some larger ones like wagon wheels of tree houses where larger groups can kind of rent those as a space to stay together. And then there'll be the golf cart access only. We've got a scavenger hunt that our daughters put together, that when kids check in, they get a map and they get some compasses. And this is to encourage them to get outside and give them things to look for on the map. And then that ends with a special surprise at the very end. So that's kind of cool. Gets them out in nature.
Where does this all this creativity come from? Because you've said so many things that where you're doing stuff that I've not heard anyone else doing, and it's easier said than done to be creative and innovative. So is it you? Is it your husband? Is it both? And where do all these ideas come from? Apart from the guests, obviously, what they suggest.
Yeah. So the bulk of it is my husband and I and our kids. That's been something wonderful, is to show them what you can do with an idea. And how to build a business and allow them to be a part of that. They help us with the naming and the theming from working on the equipment. One of my 10-year-old twins loves to work the equipment and can do it better than most of our guys. And then, right down to the small tasks. Our oldest daughter is 17. She's an artist and an amazing one. And so I try to theme a lot of things around her artwork, and it becomes a central focal point for each tree house. So if she's got something available, I don't sit her down and make her do it. Obviously, she's 17. But so, yeah, I would say majority of it is our family working on this together. And, of course, our friends always give us wonderful ideas as well because they're excited. They've been excited about what we're doing. And so just kind of talking about it with others in the community, they've provided some ideas as well.
Yeah, and that's, not to go into too much detail about what we're doing on our end, but our plan is kind of to start our own sites, and we would have sort of big ambitions as to how we scale, but I think even if we did that, and there's a lot of like branded operators who are doing a fantastic job, I always think when you compare like the branded operators that have clearly from day one set out to scale, I think that there is always a little bit of a loss of that kind of personal touch that you've just mentioned there. How your 17-year-old daughter is providing the artwork for some of the units, and I think it's always important. There will be a lot of listeners to this who want to start a big glamping brand, but I think it's really important to emphasize that regardless of how big your ambitions are, always sort of we had Zach on a couple of weeks ago, a previous guest on the podcast, and he said you need to obsess over the model and the individual site before you start to expand, and I would echo that again here. I think it's a similar theme, is that you've got to sort of have that unique personal touch on every site, and it's not as easy as copying pasting across 100 different sites. So is that something that you've been sort of consciously doing in terms of creating that unique personal touch, or is it something that's come pretty naturally to you?
A little bit of both, and that's one thing we have no partners, no loans. We wanted to do this on our own. We wanted to be able to be as creative as we want, not have to consult with anyone else, suffer the repercussions for bad decisions, and reap the rewards for the good ones. Something that we are passionate about is because we know other people want to build one, or they want to know how to do that feature in their backyard, or maybe even start their own treehouse resort. We're fine with that. So we are actually in the works right now of packaging our plans that people can purchase, either for just the feature or for the whole plans for the treehouse. So that's something that we would love to see. We've been asked to do other resorts after this one, but that we are one and done, 100%. But we love the idea of showing other people how to do what we're doing here and sharing our idea. But yeah, the personal touches, it's been said many times that the Jensen mark is on everything. When you walk in, you can kind of see all the little things. And when you're corporate, or when you're so big, you start cutting corners just to skimp on those things. Guests notice, especially if it's what you've set out to do initially. So all the little things, it's a not a small space, but it's amazing what goes into there as far as like our housekeeping team, all the things they have to restock or redo or look at and touch, to make that a unique experience. And then they come in and they're like, oh, just the things that are on the wall. It's not just a picture on the wall. It could be a honeybee hive that I got in Europe and it's shadow boxed, or I have one that's Air Fort One. I made a shadow box of it, and it's actual items from the Air Force presidential plane and some veterans' uniforms from the Air Force, and just unique things like that. And it just gives them eye candy, and it makes them feel special. And that's very simple to do. It's tedious, and depending on how far you go with it, it can be costly. But we feel like it's worth it, and we hope to stay and maintain all of that.
Hi everyone, thanks for listening. This is just a quick note to say that this podcast is brought to you by Glampitect North America. And what we do is we help you through the process of starting a glamping business, no matter what stage you're at. So if you need to find a property, we'll tell you where the most suitable area is to start your glamping business. If you have a property, we'll look at your local zoning code and tell you how likely you are to get your project off the ground according to the zoning rules and regulations in your local area. We'll also give you a really good roadmap of permits that you'll need and regulations that you'll need to be aware of to get your glamping business off the ground. If you need financing, we'll introduce you to our range of financing partners and do you a feasibility study that will give you some really solid financial projections and market analysis that will allow you to acquire the funding that you need. If you need glamping units, we'll talk you through your options and introduce you to one of our trusted manufacturing partners to ensure that you're looked after throughout the whole process. If you need a site design, or if you need permits to move forward with your project, we've got architects who will do all your drawings, make all your arguments, and essentially allow your dream to become a reality. The list goes on, and I don't want to bore you, so I'll let you get back to the episode in a second. All I'd say is that Glampitect North America are the people to speak to about starting a glamping business in the US or Canada. So if you're even thinking of starting a glamping business, just get in touch with us at contact@glampitect.com or 646-586-2330. All the details are in the description, and no matter what stage of the process you're at, we will be able to help, whether it's doing something ourselves or pointing you in the right direction of our partners. Just let us know that you came from the podcast and we'll see about doing you a little discount along the way. So thanks for listening, and I'll let you get back to the episode. Yeah, so you're really implementing that personal touch. Clearly it's been a great success so far. Your marketing's been brilliant. You've got the community on side. You've got some big future plans. It sounds like everything's going perfectly, but I'm sure there have been a couple of hiccups along the way. So I'd be interested in knowing if there's anything that didn't quite go as planned, and any mistakes you made that you would learn from, and you wouldn't sort of repeat the same mistake next time.
There's always mistakes. Just none of them have been, something we can't just bounce back from. With each treehouse, as far as the build goes, we're learning on each one. We definitely wish we had more time before we kind of came out of the gate, because that, is a good problem to have. Oh my gosh, it's just coming so fast. All of the attention, but it was more than we were prepared for. And you're scrambling, and you're like, I don't even know if I'm doing this right. And as far as the builds go, we learn on every treehouse what works, what doesn't work. Wish we would have done that differently. And in some instances, we've gone back and changed things on the treehouses And in other instances, we're just, okay, well, on these next, we'll add that or we'll change that. So yeah, there hasn't been any, I don't want to say it's perfect here. It's not. There's just little things, but nothing has felt detrimental or anything that I could have foreseen that and avoided, so to speak. It's all gone really, really good. Just the pace has been hold on, especially if you have a unique idea. I'm sure somebody's going to copy. We talked about maybe patenting the idea, which is it's kind of a waste because somebody can change one small thing about it and then it's theirs. So why not show people how to do that? We've been offered a show, and I know that would elevate actually two. I know that would elevate the resort very quickly, but we like our privacy. We do like to use our family and tell our story a little bit, but also there's some sacrifice that goes there, and these shows can sometimes want to give you personalities that you really don't live. So that didn't seem authentic to us. So, maybe it's a mistake to pass on that. But for us as a family, we felt like it was important to just keep growing this organically and kind of stay in there. There has been times where, reservations are slower. And that, we're like, oh, we're doing something wrong. We got to pivot marketing, turn this off, turn this on. But, then we got smart and started talking to other resort owners in the area and finding out, oh, they're in the same boat. We're actually occupancy is higher than theirs. So, all right, don't panic, So you start immediately thinking you're doing something wrong because it is our first experience building something like this. So.
Yeah. So you've obviously learned a lot, but you're also doing a lot right, and all of that's going to carry into the future expansion plans. Which you said you want to stay on one site, but you eventually want to be the sort of biggest treehouse resort in the world. So tell us a little bit more about those plans.
So we're the world's first interactive treehouse resort. There's nobody. I'm sure that's going to change because you got a good idea. Somebody's going to take it, and we hope that they do. There's plenty of market share for everyone in that sense, and I hope they do even better job with it. As far as, we started with the 6 to 10. When we acquired this 40 acres, we were sitting at home one night, I'll never forget it, and I looked at my husband, I was like, what are we going to do with 40 acres? And he already knew. He's over there with his graph paper and his credit card, and he's, drawing things out and using that as his ruler. And I'm like, he goes, okay, I need you to do a quick search. What's the world's largest, who has the most tree houses in one place? And then did that, and I was like, okay, I see 17 is the most I can find. He said, so when we get to 18, we'd be the world's largest. That's got some marketing value to it. I said, what are you doing? And he was like, I think I can get, with keeping the trees and then the parking and guest parking, having the required parking, I think I can get up to 130 in here. And that would make us the world's largest in addition to the world's first interactive. I was like, oh my goodness, hold on. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's very unique in that house in your marketing too. People, world's largest, firstest, anything, is going to grab attention. So
it's called the law of category, right? Where you sort of position yourself as the only or the best or whatever in a particular category. And really smart marketing tactic that I haven't really seen applied in the glamping industry, but clearly you're doing it brilliantly. So when do you plan on being the world's largest treehouse resort then, assuming that the current one remains at 17?
Yes, I did a search recently and it's still 17. I'm sure, I know a lot of people that are trying to do this, though. So this is becoming a thing. So we've got our first 7 online this last 5 months. Our next 7 come out fall or winter, like I said, so that'll be 14. We're planning on finishing out the year with 20, but as soon as we get to 18, that makes us the world's largest. Now, if someone takes that title, it's okay. I mean, right now we are set to be, and again, if someone else comes out with 100 next week, it's okay. Yeah. We still have a fabulous location. We are and always will be the first interactive. So that's okay. It's got great marketing value. And if you're going to say that, you better try to deliver. So, that's one thing I will say is we knew we were going to be interactive. So it was safe to say that. We knew that no one else had that. So it was safe to say that. As far as the world's largest, we can pass that title if someone beats us to it. It's okay.
Are you going to have a party if you get the record? You got any marketing plans around it?
I like that idea. I love to have a party for anything. Thank you.
Okay, well, as long as I get an invite, that's fine.
Yeah, come on over.
Cool.
Sure.
Okay. So Amanda, thank you. This has been great. If anyone wants to book a stay at the resort, or if they want to get in touch with you, however, to discuss whatever, if they want to sort of be inspired by you or whatever, how do they go about doing that?
Well, we have a website, treehouseresort.com. We are also on all social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the places. If you want to reach out to me personally, it's hello@treehouseresort.com, or you can call us at 423-TREE-FUN.
Amazing. We will put the we'll put the link to the website in the description, and people can sort of find their way through that. So thank you, Amanda. It's been great. Really, really insightful. Some really good marketing tactics as well, which I didn't expect. I was expecting to focus on the resort itself, but we got some great marketing insights as well. So thank you very much. I'm sure we'll be maybe we'll do a live podcast from the 18th Treehouse celebration.
Let's do it.
We can have you on again. Perfect. All right. Well, thanks, Amanda. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Have a great day.